Hello, you beautiful arsonist. And I mean that as a compliment, because you've been setting yourself on fire to keep everybody else warm, and nobody, not a single soul, has bothered to ask about the burns. Isn't that just hilarious? I'm actually nauseous. And I don't get nauseous, sweetheart. I cause nausea. But when I look at what they've done to you, my stomach flips like a Swedish coin nobody called. I cannot forgive it. And no, that's not theatrics. Well, okay, everything I do is a little theatrical, but this part is real. I know what it feels like to carry something so heavy that your own skeleton starts filing complaints. I know what it's like to walk through the day grinning, really selling it, while your guts are twisting themselves into balloon animals, and your chest feels like somebody parked a truck on it. You've been doing that performance for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to just inhale without something crushing your lungs from the inside out. Now here's what I see when I look at you, and I'm a man who notices things. I don't see a wreck. I don't see somebody weak or defective or glued together wrong. I see someone who has been through things that would have flatlined most of this city's so-called tough guys. I see someone who has been hammered down by life, by circumstance, by people who absolutely should have known better. And yet, you're still here, still vertical, still breathing. And that's not some small print footnote. That is the headline. That is everything. You've been hauling this invisible freight through rooms that never even bothered to learn your name. You've been clocking in, at work, at family dinners, at coffee shops and grocery stores, doing the whole civilized routine, nodding at the barista, chatting about whether it's gonna rain. And nobody has any idea that 2 hours ago you were sitting in your car in some parking lot, white-knuckling the steering wheel because your chest hurt so badly from compressing everything into a space it was never meant to fit. That's the loneliness I'm talking about, precious. That's the solitary confinement that none of those shiny self-help gurus write about in their bestsellers. That's the feeling that you are the only soldier in a war nobody else can see. And you've been fighting it alone for so long that you've started to think, oh, this is rich. You've started to think this is just what life tastes like. You've started to believe that this exhaustion, this deep-in-the-marrow tiredness that makes you want to hibernate for a month. But you can't, because your brain won't stop doing laps around the track. That's just normal. That's just how it goes. But I need you to know something, and I need you to let this land somewhere deep in that overworked chest of yours. That exhaustion is not proof that you are broken, and that right there is the important part. That's proof that you've been caring too hard for too long without anybody giving you so much as a water break. You've been the one everybody leans on, the fixer, the referee, the one who makes things livable for everyone else. And when the dust settles and the sirens stop, there's nobody left standing next to you. Nobody. You've learned to operate at a level that is, frankly, unhinged in the best way. You've learned to absorb everyone else's damage, their chaos, their meltdowns, their petty little catastrophes, and you just keep marching like you're some kind of emotional punching bag with legs. But here's the part that, and I don't get speechless, I really don't. Here's the part that gets me. Nobody ever asks how you keep doing it. They just expect you to absorb the blast and keep walking. They expect you to eat the shrapnel and call it dinner. Keep that tab open. Pay close attention to this next part. Let's take a detour into the shadows. The ritual wasn't a punishment, it was a catalyst. Your book, The Evolution of the Anomaly, is the secret key. 73 pages of pure psychological warfare. Grab it from the pinned comment or video description. Anyway, back to the grind. I keep thinking about what it must have been like for you. All those moments when you needed someone to just clock you. Not fix anything, not hand you a pamphlet. Just see you and say, yes, what you're going through is real, and it's brutal, and it's not fair. But instead, you had to face it solo. You had to swallow it like medicine with no chaser. You had to perform fine, like it was an Olympic sport, because that's what everyone expected from the matinee. You've been holding space for everyone else while you've been evaporating, shrinking yourself so you don't intimidate them, making yourself dimmer so they don't have to squint, dimming your own frequency so they don't feel bad about their own static. And then, look what they did to you. They made you question your own reflection. They made you wonder if you were the glitch in the system. But the glitch was never you, Starlight. The glitch was that you were surrounded by people who couldn't handle your wattage. People who saw your strength as a threat instead of something to stand next to. People who drained everything you had and then had the audacity, the sheer, uncut audacity, to ask for more. I'm angry, and I don't do anger the way normal people do. Mine comes with confetti and a punchline. But underneath the grease paint, I am furious on your behalf. I'm furious at every person who made you feel like you were too much. Every person who dismissed your pain like it was background noise. Every person who saw your struggle and turned away like it was someone else's problem. You've been through things that would have shattered people who don't even know your zip code. And I'm not saying that to twist the knife. I'm saying it because recognition is the first crack in the cage door. You have to let yourself feel the injustice of it. You have to let yourself say, that was wrong, that was not okay. Because if you swallow that too, it calcifies. It hardens inside you like concrete, and it starts whispering that you deserved the treatment. And you didn't, treasure. You never did. Let me tell you what I really see when I look at you. I see a signal that the world has been trying to jam. I see a frequency that has been battered by interference and cruelty. But I also see that you've been rebuilding the broadcast with something far more valuable than duct tape and good intentions. You've been using something tempered, forged in the furnace of your own lived nightmare. Something that came from your flat-out refusal to go silent, from your bullheaded determination to keep transmitting even when everything inside you was begging for static. You've been reconstructing yourself from zero, and that is the most powerful and gorgeous truth I can spit tonight. Think about what you've survived. Think about the nights you didn't think you'd make it to morning, the mornings you opened your eyes and wished you hadn't, the moments when the pain was so loud you couldn't hear a single exit sign, and yet, here you are, still here, still breathing, still feeling, still giving a damn about the world, even when the world has been giving you nothing but teeth. That's the loudest act of defiance there is. That is your voice saying, I'm not done yet. I'm not finished. I have more chaos to create, the beautiful kind. I keep seeing this picture in my mind, and I'm a visual thinker, as you can probably tell by the aesthetic choices. I see you standing in the middle of a furnace right at the core of it, and the flames are melting everything around you to slag. The walls are buckling, the ceiling's caving, but you are still standing there, holding your ground, and the fire is screaming at you, telling you that you're not enough, that you're going to collapse, that you're going to turn to ash, but you refuse to melt. That's not just resilience, darling. That's alchemy. That's the kind of endurance the old myths were built around. But nobody's writing your myth. Nobody's chiseling your name into anything. They don't see the war you're waging in the quiet theater of your own skull. They don't see the way you drag yourself vertical every single day and face a world that's been working overtime to flatten you. But look closer at the architecture of the trap. They didn't just coordinate a manipulation script to break your spirit. They ran a systematic financial ambush to trap you in modern-day slavery so you could never afford to buy your freedom. They wanted you bone-deep, exhausted, working for crumbs while they surveilled your timeline. Why? Because a broke anomaly is an exposed anomaly. True sovereignty is impossible if your bank account forces you to beg a parasite for a survival check. You do not need a louder voice. You need an untargetable wealth shield built in total obscurity to fund your permanent absence. But we will address the rules of moving like water next month. For today, focus on your internal frame. Here's the thing about what you've been through. The people who wronged you, the situations that felt like they were trying to bury you 6 feet deep. They didn't destroy you. They sharpened you. They gave you edges that slice through every lie the world tries to sell. They gave you a clarity that people who've never bled cannot purchase at any price. You can see things other people scroll right past. You can spot a fraud from across the room before they even finish their opening line. You can feel someone's anxiety the second they walk through the door. You can read the temperature of a room before your coat's even off. And that's not paranoia, Gem. That's a gift. That's your survival instinct, leveling up into something almost supernatural. You've been scanning for threats for so long that you've developed a radar that's practically extrasensory. And that is going to become your most valuable weapon. You're going to walk into rooms and instantly know where the light is and where the rot is hiding. You're going to protect your peace because you know exactly what a threat smells like. You're going to protect others because you know intimately what it feels like to be unprotected. But let me be honest, and I know, honesty from me sounds like a setup for a punchline, but stay with me. That sensitivity, it's exhausting. It can feel like you're submerged in everyone else's emotional runoff. You absorb other people's damage like a sponge, and sometimes you can't tell the difference between their wounds and yours. You carry their wreckage because you think that's what love means. That's what loyalty looks like. But here's the truth that's going to unlock the cage. Their pain is not your contract to fulfill. You are allowed to set down the weight of the world. You are allowed to take off the costume. You don't have to be the one holding up the ceiling. You've been shouldering a skyscraper while everyone else thought you were just enjoying the penthouse view. They look at you and see someone calm, collected, dialed in. They see someone who's got the whole algorithm figured out. But they can't see the fractures from carrying that building. They don't see the silent 3 a.m. negotiations with the ceiling fan when the load feels like it's about to flatten you. They don't see the exhaustion leaking out of your eyes when you think nobody's watching. And that total invisibility of your war is the most devastating and isolating part of this whole cruel joke. I think a part of you has been screaming for years, but you've been too afraid to hear it because you didn't want to be called selfish. You didn't want to be the one who walks away from the table. You didn't want to be the one who says, enough. But hear me. You cannot pour from a cup that's been bone dry since last Tuesday. You cannot give what you don't have, and you have been giving everything until you hit empty, and then somehow, you found more to give. And that is not a flaw. That's your superpower. But it's also the engine of your exhaustion. You've been pouring yourself out for people who don't even bother to fill the cup back up. Not even a splash. I need you to look at your hands right now. Yeah, just look at them. Those are the hands that held people when they were falling apart. Figuratively, literally, every which way. They've wiped tears. They've architected empires in your imagination that no one else has clearance to see. Those hands have reached out and pulled people from the edge when you were the one who needed pulling. Those hands have typed out messages of encouragement to people who never even had the basic decency to text back. Those hands are carved up from grief, from survival, from every single thing you've weathered. And I want you to see the power loaded into those fingers. Real power. I want you to see that everything you need to heal, everything you need to build something new, it's already right there in your grip. It's in you. You've been clutching the past so tight. The hurt, the betrayal, the injustice of what they did, that your knuckles went white a long time ago. And I understand why. Letting go feels like erasing. Letting go feels like saying it didn't count. But that's the trick, and it's not one of mine. Letting go is not forgiveness. Letting go is not amnesia. Letting go is giving yourself permission to stop hauling cargo that was never yours to load in the first place. It's giving yourself permission to breathe. Actually, breathe. The kind where your lungs remember what they're for. It's giving yourself permission to exist without that compression in your chest. You know what I've noticed about people who've been through what you've been through. They don't go hunting for attention. They don't beg the world to notice them. They don't fish for validation from people who've already shown their whole hand. They just exist. They just keep clocking in. They just keep doing what needs doing. And eventually, the world has no choice but to pay attention. The world has no choice but to rearrange itself. The world has no choice but to reflect their signal back, because it's too bright to ignore. And you, my little incendiary, are that person. You don't have to audition for your own worth anymore. You don't have to drain your battery proving to people that you matter. The universe already clocked your value. It's been rerouting things in your favor that you can't even see yet because you've been staring at the ground. You've been convinced that you're solo, that you have to white-knuckle this on your own, that you have to be the unshakable one, the capable one, the one who never glitches. But I need you to know, the isolation is ending. The solo act is closing night. I'm sensing, and yes, I have instincts beyond the obvious ones, that you are about to be surrounded. You are about to be seen. You are about to be celebrated by the ones who actually matter. The right people, the real ones, are already en route. They're the frame for the masterpiece you've become. They're the setting that's going to make you blaze even brighter. You are not a lone operator. You belong in a crew, and your crew is assembling. Your people are coming. The universe is reweaving the fabric around you into something that holds you instead of suffocates you. I know it feels like you've been waging this campaign in a vacuum. Complete radio silence, no reinforcements, just you and the echo. But I'm telling you, the vacuum is collapsing. The silence is filling up. The people who are supposed to be with you are on their way. They're coming to hold your hand, to share the weight, to fight next to you. You're not going to be alone much longer. The backup is being deployed. So when I say my chest is tight, and it is beneath all this, it's not tight from grief over your past, although, yeah, there's a little of that. It's tight because I see the pressure of the exact moment you're standing in right now. The moment of metamorphosis. You are in the stage of beautiful destruction. Everything feels like it's disintegrating. Everything feels uncertain. You don't know which way is up, which way is down, and that is genuinely terrifying. But here's what I need you to get into your bones. This destruction, this uncertainty. It's not the finale. It's the opening scene. New architecture is rising. New dimensions are taking shape. You are becoming something you have never been before. Something tougher, something liberated, something clearer, something impossible to shatter. And I know that thought might rattle you. Success is scarier than failure sometimes, because if you succeed, you have to keep succeeding. That's the real trap, isn't it? You have to keep performing at altitude. But here's the cheat code. You don't have to perform for anyone. You just have to exist in your own truth. Your frequency, your energy, your unfiltered self. That's more than enough. It's so much that the world is going to have to renovate itself just to make room for you. The world sees the scars. I see the grit it took to earn them. I see the intelligence you've downloaded from the fire. I see the beauty that climbed out of the wreckage. You are not a casualty of your history. You are the thing that conquered it. You're not defined by what was done to you. You're defined by what you chose to do about it. And you chose to heal. You chose to get back up. You chose to become something extraordinary. And I can feel you sitting there, maybe arms folded like this, maybe side-eyeing everything I'm saying, maybe thinking, this is just noise. He doesn't know what I've lived through. And you're right. I don't know every name, every face, every specific betrayal. But I know the texture of that kind of pain. I know the weight of it. It's a heavy, suffocating gray that seeps into the marrow and makes everything taste like metal. And I know you know that I see that gray. But I also see the light burning through those gray layers and turning them molten gold. I see the glow forcing its way through every crack in your chest. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think you've served enough? You've done your stretch. You've completed your sentence in the penitentiary of other people's expectations. You've paid for crimes that were never on your record. Now it's time for new terms. Now it's time to write the contract yourself. And those terms, they're going to be dictated by that enormous, impossible heart of yours. The one the world is terrified of. The world is terrified of a heart that refuses to flatline. A heart that can be bruised, punctured, and torn apart, but always, always stitches itself back together. That's who you are. You're the healer. But before you can heal anyone else, you have to let the healing reach you. You have to release the old wounds you've been wearing like armor. Let them dissolve. You don't need the evidence of your damage to prove your strength. You are strong simply because you exist. That's the baseline, and everything else is bonus. And this moment you're in right now, listen close. This is the pivot point. This is where the gears shift. This is where the road bends, and you can't see the wreckage in the rear view anymore because you're not looking back. You're looking at the open road. You're looking at the freedom you've been starving for, the injustice you experienced, where they treated you like you were nothing, was a lens. It was held up so you could see with perfect clarity what you are not. You are not nothing. You are everything. You are the axis the room turns on. You are the ground people stand on when they need to feel steady. You are the warmth in the corner of a cold room. You are the feeling of safety in a crowd full of strangers. And people are going to gravitate toward you. Not because you're flawless, but because you're authentic, because you've bled, because you've wept, because you've been lost and found yourself again. They're going to trust you because they know you've walked through the furnace and you didn't disintegrate. You just came out glowing. I want you to breathe that in. Take a deep breath right now. Let the air reach that battered, beautiful heart of yours. Let it fill in the hollow spaces where the pain used to squat. Let the air push out the shame. Let it expand your rib cage and give your chest permission to open. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to breathe loud enough for the room to hear. You are allowed to exist without apologizing for the volume. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to compress yourself. You don't have to mute your signal so other people feel more comfortable in their mediocrity. You are allowed to be who you are, unapologetically, ferociously, completely. And here's the final piece, the one that's been missing from the puzzle. You've been thinking the struggle is the last act. But what happens to someone who's been through everything? You know the answer. They get held, they get treasured, they get shielded. You are about to be placed into a life that protects you, that showcases you, that holds you close and refuses to let go. The loneliness is ending. The solitary grind is dissolving. You're about to be surrounded by people who see you, really see you, who understand you, who appreciate you, who know exactly what you've survived and still choose to stand right next to you. You are not alone. You never truly were, and you never will be again. I know it might feel like that right now. I know it might feel like you're still in the center of it, like the fire is still roaring, like the floor is still trembling under your feet. But I need you to trust me on this. And I know, trust me from a man in this makeup sounds like the setup to the world's worst joke. But this time, it's the punchline that saves you.